Right? And I'm not playing no games. Yeah.
Hey there. I'm just coming hanging out. You can come hang out with me. I'm a mess. But you know what? I'm awake. Look at that. I have nothing left. That's just, it's all falling out. Y'all making me lose my hair. Even faster than I normally would. Yeah, just thought I'd come hang out with you guys. Let's open the door. Let you just come chill with me for a minute. Don't have anything specific to talk about. Thought I would just kind of let the brain just run for a few minutes while I'm sitting here sorting some stuff out, going through like the notes, going through the different things that are going on. Man, it's been a crazy day. Crazy day. Had the stream with Loki and Ironcaster talk hard. Went great. Seeing all the cool stuff. I don't know. I didn't expect Loki to bring like 30 jillion photos. Freaking, it was so packed. He was so cool hanging out. Yeah, that was awesome. Ironcaster always brings it. So, you know, that's going to be cool. We got this news that Ron Unword's going to come show up and hang out with us, man. That's so cool. Makes you feel like you're doing something that somebody might want to watch. You know what I mean? Be kind of cool. Hang out with you and get to talk movies and TV, comic books, and all that. Then to know that some director wants to be on my crazy little YouTube channel. It's my brain's like, so busy week. 2 things tomorrow. Pops Talk. Got James McArdle on talking about his comic book, this Fuhrer and the Tramp book. We'll talk to him tomorrow. Guys, this thing is fun. I will say it was really interesting to see like the thought that went into certain panels and action sequences and things like that to intertwine real history with the other. But the gags, I mean, look, man. Got naked Charlie Chaplin who knocks FDR over out of his chair, man. I laughed so hard. Hey, Joker Voice. You come hang out? Put the invite in there. I didn't get to it yet. I'm sorry. This was so impromptu. I didn't even know. I don't even know what I'm doing, man. Just making it up as I go. Here, I'll throw it in StreamYard. You know how long it takes for it to populate, though? So, come hang out with me, man. Joker Voice have a ton of things to talk about. All this crazy Comic-Con nonsense. Yeah. I'm with him too, man. That was just nuts. The stuff these people are throwing out there for content and wanting us to watch, or even worse, like pay money to do. It's like, oh, you guys are crazy. You're going to pay for this nonsense to see these movies and shows. And I'm curious of what you guys think even looks good. Like, I heard a lot of hate today on with Gary and Az and them on Shazam. I thought Shazam was kind of the least of my problems. Like, of all the things out there, like Shazam seemed more like a continuation. So anyway, we'll see what Joker has to say. I knew he'd come up in here for a few minutes, nothing else. How you doing, my brother?
Hi. It's been too long.
Man, my schedule's nuts, so you got to bear with me. Hopefully you don't hold it against me because...
Oh, not at all, Pops. I work midnight to 8 a.m. I'm asleep most of the day, so if I get a chance to catch anyone during this time, it is a rare thing.
Well, I only have like the 3 days I'm in the city, and then I've got Talk Hard, which is kind of locked in cement now. Like that show's just doing great for us. We're having so much fun doing it.
Right on.
And so I don't know if you heard, I have director Ron Unward coming on with us next Tuesday night. So
nice.
The Tremors, City Slickers I've been chasing after the Tremor stuff. Just was so cool. We had such a fun experience talking about that movie. And then
very cool.
I do Pops Talk a couple times, do this, do that. But yeah, I'm really enjoying I don't know. I hate, no one likes Community. Fellowship seems overused. Arwen called it The Gathering. I love that too. Just I don't know. It sounds cliche to think of it as like the fandom family. Like it's just people that are like minded of this kind of stuff. That's what I really enjoy.
I was watching a video from someone I'm sure we all know and love, Razor Fist. He was talking about Rippa as he is the talk.
Sure, of course.
And he was talking about, when it comes to fandoms and especially from like comic book fandoms, our movements come in ages. So we're like in the new Iron Age. So we may not be as pretty as gold or silver, but we are tough as hell.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. I will say this, and I'll be honest, you're the first person I've told. I don't think I've even told Loki. It inspired me to write, inspired me to kind of dust off some ideas and think about some things. Hey, Jacob Ironside's here. Hey, man.
Hey, what's up, Jacob?
There's a link there if you want to hop in, man. Feel free. We're literally just shooting the S because I just can't sleep yet. And even though I got to be up at the crack of dawn, I have a busy day tomorrow. I'm like, well, I'll just sit here and stream because the only thing that keeps me from monetization right now is hours.
Yeah.
But between Rippa and Razor Fist and other people just being encouraging, I'm like, yeah, I started writing again. I just kind of, you have different ideas. I'm like, just don't let them sit. Just figure out a way to make your ideas start working and then devote some time. Don't put too much pressure on yourself and don't beat yourself down.
Because what was it during the coof, the lockdowns, I was like, okay, I got nothing to do, so I kind of took to just spewing ideas, which turned into my own like little series of what I would do if I was with DC Comics, and I had like a Gotham series, a real Birds of Prey series, and then I just started one with Constantine and Zatanna series. So
awesome.
Yeah, so I've got them on a zip drive. I just went and looked at them the other day, and I gave my Gotham series to a friend of mine, and he was like, "Damn, this is better than some of the films." And I'm like, "Well, thanks, I guess." I don't know.
Yeah, but you got to hang with it, and maybe there's a way to adapt it into something. Obviously we're not going to get licensing for the actual Batman material, but you say, all right, well, now it's not set in their world, but we can just turn it into something else. Hey, Decepticon, hang in there, man. Hopefully you, if you haven't already, showing off some more of your stuff, man. We were talking earlier, and you were showing off tons of toys and things like that, comics, whatever. Hey, man, feel free. Oh, you just did. All right, perfect. A few more shorts. Listen, folks, if you're catching us after the fact, these guys are just awesome channels, awesome stuff, content, stuff for everybody. Decepticon has like literally like these shorts, and you can just get cool looks at toys and all this retro stuff. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I go, I used to have that, or I do have that. It's just those kinds of stuff. And of course, Joker's like, he's like me, man. We'll monetize the hate. We will roll right up there with Star Wars and Marvel, man, every freaking day.
Absolutely. I was just talking. I just jumped off a stream, and I was going to start to script and record my video for tomorrow. The morning about Phase Barely Alive, as calls it. And I saw this pop up, and I'm like, I gotta talk to Pops. It's been way too long.
I appreciate that.
But yeah, Phase 5. Am I excited about anything here? No. There's nothing that is even remotely interesting to me.
Hey, Brandon, how you doing, man? I will say I'm not even that excited about Guardians. Like, I just feel like because it's happening now, I just don't trust anyone. I don't trust anything. I'm just sort of like, number 2 was such a major step down from 1. James Gunn's Suicide Squad was okay. It was fine. I had a good time.
It was
TV show was
It was kind of the same thing as Taika now with Thor. If someone's good, more must be better. And I didn't like Guardians 2 because it was just too many jokes. It didn't give scenes time to breathe, and Thor is just abysmal.
Oh, Thor's terrible. Yeah, it's it was just like it's unbearable. But so yeah, I really can't agree with you more about Marvel. Like I really thought like maybe the TV shows. I think like
I mean,
I'm going to use it. My strategy right now is okay. I'm going to spend some time trying to read some content so I can try to recommend people like what are like Daredevil Born Again is a freaking great comic book run.
yeah, but do you really think they're going to adapt Frank on this?
Zero.
No, it's going
but
to be
I can at least
watered
recommend
down.
the comic books and say,
Right.
listen, this is crap. Go read the comic books instead. So,
Right.
well, Brandon wants to come in. Hey, he'll say hi to Brandon for a minute. He can talk some stuff with us. Hey, Brandon, how you doing, man?
Hi, Brandon.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hopefully you're doing okay. You're a little soft, but it's okay. We'll see you for a few minutes. How you doing?
Fine. I do want to stay with you for the rest for a long time.
Okay, well, we're going to hang out with Joker here for a few minutes and we're talking about some of the Marvel stuff they were talking about, some of these films they announced and things like that. So I thought we'd talk about that for a few minutes here.
And you gave me a shout out video already.
I did shout you out because I love Looney Tunes and I think you're a diehard fan, and those two things are a remedy for something that's going to be great on YouTube, and I think you are. It's why you're growing.
Oh, and current Hollywood has made me angry. Oh, so very angry.
You gave me a shout out back in July 2nd.
You did
give me a shout out a few weeks ago.
Yeah, you did shout it. You shouted me out too, I think. I appreciate it.
They gave you a shout out.
Yeah. So what do you did you see any of these videos or anything like that for what happened at San Diego Comic-Con, the different movies they announced or anything?
No.
Okay. Well, that's kind of what we were talking about here. So
there's usually millions of people there, and I can't stand a lot of people.
Well, I didn't know if you saw it online or one of the YouTube videos or something like that.
Hey, Pops.
Marvel movies is usually Disney related.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joker. What was that?
Have you heard that they've already ordered reshoots for the Marvels?
I didn't even know they were done filming the Marvels.
Because it's not silly enough, and I'm like, oh dear, oh god.
You did give me a shout out, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about Marvels. I think that it just seems like the form. I don't know anything in there that could remotely be positive. I really don't.
Now I will admit, because Captain Marvel, and this is something that I don't tell a lot of folks, especially on streams or whatever.
I have 688 right now.
Oh boy, hang on one second here, Joker.
Okay.
Awesome. You're doing great, man. 700 is going to come soon, so hopefully folks can go check you out.
Right on.
Just 12 more.
Cool. What was that?
I'll need 12 more.
12 more. All right. Well, hopefully we can get you that 12 and get you another subscriber or two. That'd be awesome.
One day I'm going to reach 1K.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, be right around the corner, won't it?
One day I'm going to reach 1K.
Awesome. Project Story Time's here. Hey to Josh.
What's up, Project?
Brandon, I'm getting your link. I'm going to put your link in the chat, and then I'm going to get back to Joker so we can talk about these movies and stuff. Is there anything else that you got going on? What's your next couple of videos you're doing?
Tomorrow's Bugs Bunny's birthday.
Bugs Bunny birthday, indeed. Awesome. All right. So
I've mainly been doing like VHS openings lately.
Yeah. Awesome.
I did one opening closing today, and that's Porky's Hare Hunt.
Is that one of your favorites?
The first Bugs ever. It was originally named Happy Rabbit.
That's awesome. All right. Well, listen, folks. This is Brandon's channel, and he only needs 12 to get to 700. So if you're not a subscriber, hang on. I got a freaking pop-up thing or something. What the heck is this nonsense? All right. Hold on. So
I really
hang on,
want to
guys.
one day.
Yeah. All right.
Does that Joker voice posting this sound videos?
Yeah, Joker has great videos, great reviews and commentary and those kinds of things. So
Yep, I just hit 240 subs, so
he's getting there. I think last time I had him on, we were still around 200. So
correct.
That's
Do you
20%.
do
So hey,
solid
man,
do you do solid videos?
Do I do what?
The
shout
Joker.
out videos.
I usually give a shout out to a channel here and there, and then I leave their links in my description.
I'll have to go check his stuff out, Brandon. I'll put the links in there too, so you could go check out Joker.
Yeah.
And Brandon, I just subscribed to your channel,
There you go. There's one more. One more.
It does
All right,
not
Brandon.
say. It does not say the notifications. Yeah.
Oh well, good luck with the notification thing because that's
Yeah.
been terrible. So, all right, Brandon, I'm going to let you go so I can get with Joker about this Marvel stuff a little more detailed. Okay, but I definitely shouted you out there. Okay, put your links out. Okay.
What about what that Joker voice person give me a shout out video?
I don't know. Maybe.
I will probably give you a shout out either if not because my one for tomorrow is kind of already scripted out, but probably for Saturdays.
All right. Keep an eye out for that, Brandon.
I have 689 right now.
That was Joker getting one more. All right. Listen, Brandon, I'll talk to you soon.
Well, I'll be able to come back to the panel.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Well, I'll be able to come back in the panel.
I don't know yet. I think we're going to talk about the Marvel stuff for a little while. So since you haven't seen that stuff, we'll kind of see where things go. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. All right, Brandon.
All right, buddy. Thanks, man. That's awesome.
Oh, no worries.
And so we were talking about Marvels. You were talking about reshoots and that kind of nonsense.
So, Captain the Marvel. Yes, objectively, it is a terrible film. It has a special place for me because I had just gotten out of 60 hours of Suicide Watch, and this was the first film that I saw in the theater. And there was that one little moment when they show the montage of Carol getting knocked down and getting knocked down and getting knocked down, but then getting back up and getting back up and getting back up. So that was something that I just needed to see visually on there because life had kind of knocked me down pretty hard.
Wow.
So
that may be the best thing I've heard or seen about Captain Marvel, maybe ever, Joker voice, to be perfectly honest.
So yeah, so the film has a special place for me. Brie Larson's a dumpster fire. So this is one film that I'm like, okay, you're doing reshoots for this film. This is not a good sign. The fact that Carol Danvers can't carry her own title anymore. And this was supposed to be in the slot of Wasp and Ant-Man. It was going to be dumped into the movie The Wasteland of February, but it got moved to because apparently the Marvel Studios thought Ms. Marvel was a really great show, so they moved it into the summer slot.
I think we kind of agree on Ms. Marvel, though, and I think I brought it up. I think I brought it up with Flaccid Phoenix. They were talking about it too, and I says it's kind of sad because I think it's their best show.
Yes, it is.
And if that's your best show, you're probably doing something seriously wrong.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
We all agree, like, this is the best show.
Yes.
And that's really bad news for Marvel.
Right, because
it's for like 9 to 12-year-old little girls who can relate to someone who's Pakistani.
Yes,
it is pretty much the target audience.
It is a Nickelodeon Disney Channel preteen rom-com. It's what it is. And
Josh.
Yes. Thank you. But, Guardians 3 I'm not excited about. God, I mean, Daredevil and 18, I mean, oh my God, this better be good. And again, everyone says again, I've heard, whoa, it's a great story between Daredevil and Kingpin. I'm like, you mean like everyone else you've done? There's nothing original going on. And we're getting,
I can't imagine because I mean, you think it's the Electra. I'm trying to figure out if they would leave it so that a major female character wouldn't be coming in, because Echo's got her own show, so there's not really a reason.
Which again is going to feature Daredevil and Kingpin prominently. So why is Echo?
Yeah, well, it comes out, so it comes out early, so it's going to set up the Born Again story. So I got a feeling a lot of the Daredevil stuff is going to be lumped into hers. So I'm going to play a little clip. I don't know if you've seen it. I played it on my show earlier today. I put this together because this was my reaction when I was watching Miss Marvel. The cringy scene, because I don't know if those of you in chat have seen it or not, but yeah, Miss Marvel is an X-Men, just so y'all know.
Mutant.
This was my
There's
reaction.
something different in your genes. Like a mutation.
No.
No, I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I was exactly the same way. And
Could not believe
because at first I'm like, okay, the bangle, whatever. My guess is it's of the same material that made the 10 rings. Possible tie-in with that. Okay.
Sure.
I'm kind of on board. She comes from a family of jinn. I'm like, okay, I'm fine. Magic. Okay. Mutation. Fuck off.
Yeah, it was unbearable. And then the follow that credit up scene with a Bree scene was just unbearable.
I'm just like,
yeah.
Okay.
So let's switch gears then to DC, because I heard Az and Gary and them piling on Shazam.
I have not heard that yet, so I will definitely check that out.
Yeah, because I agree with pretty much everyone else's sentiment. Like at this point with Black Adam, I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever. I mean, Pierce Brosnan is Dr. Fate, but you're just throwing a bunch of characters in that we're not going to much about. I have a hard time believing that they're going to handle it well.
Which I think is the perfect casting for Dr. Fate.
Yeah, but that's the most interesting element of this entire film.
Exactly. The rest I don't care about.
Did you see the Shazam 2 trailer, the new trailer?
Okay, I want to, and that's something I want to address. I thought that the DCEU, the first phase, I guess you want to call it, Shazam was a highlight. The first Shazam film. It was a good, just a good family holiday film. It was fine. And this is falling into the same pattern. And I've said the trailer is overly silly. And folks have said, well, Shazam is silly. No kidding. Thus the adjective overly. It's overly silly. It's just, I have no faith in this. And everyone's trying to catch up to what Marvel did in phase 1, 2, and 3. So what they're doing now, they're like, oh, that must work. I have the box office numbers. No, it doesn't work. Every Marvel film has either lost my money, or with Thor is still upside down. Thor could lose $100 million easily.
Yeah. I will say this. I can't argue that it's not overly silly looking trailer, but what I can say is, based on the elements of the first movie, I could see this as a sequel. Like, it didn't seem like it was a turnoff.
Right.
It didn't seem out of, like, the voice of the film didn't seem wrong. It didn't seem strange. I don't really care one way or the other about Helen Mirren and the Daughters of Atlas and the story. I don't really care. And I don't have a frame of reference because I know they're pulling from like New 52 Shazam, which is something I have no experience with. I really only read like the one issue of when they introduced the new family, because we got the casting leak way early, and I did a big screenshot out of the comic book and this whole big, so I read that single issue. That's the only thing I know. So for all I know, I don't flipping know. But
So,
yeah,
from
they're
what I
hating
heard-
on it. They're hating on the overly silly, which is what you brought up. They're hating on it even more so than I did. Because I actually kind of felt like, okay. It's like it didn't. I mean, it's not like I was like, okay, I'm so excited to see this film, but it's also not like it wasn't a turn off of like I don't want to see this film. The Marvel stuff, I see now. Again, we do this for at least a side hustle, so I guarantee I'm seeing them. But if I was a paying customer and I saw the Black Panther trailer, I'd be like, there is no flipping way. You've got to be kidding me.
I think that Wakanda Forever will be the best film in at least box office wise in Phase 4. I think it's going to have it. I think it's going to have a huge opening the weekend. But if it tracks like everything else, it's going to rely on that opening the weekend. And
yeah, it's going to have to be a $200 million opening weekend to get enough buzz. Because if it doesn't get that kind of buzz, it's going to be a failure as well. Jacob says he's talking about the Shazam, so we don't get too far away from it because it doesn't seem like a turnoff, but it doesn't say, "Wow, that's going to be a great movie." But here's my thing, Jacob. Let's take all of Comic-Con. Let's take all of the trailers, all the things. We covered the D&D last Thursday. You got all this stuff. Put in chat. Tell me, is there anything you can think of where you're like, wow, I can't wait for this to come out?
No.
I got nothing.
Nothing.
Because even Guardians of the 3, I'm like, it's like the least of the evils. You know what I mean? It's like it's the most likely chance to be good. Not even like it's the chance to be okay. It could be close to as good as like the second Guardians movie. That's kind of how I look at it. Ironcaster.
What up, Ironcaster?
Hey, bro, you can come up here too, Ironcaster, if you want. Yes, gelatinous cube action figure. I'm all down for the insanity of that action figure. That made me laugh. I literally joke about. I am a noob when it comes to gaming.
Likewise.
So when we were doing the D&D night in Ironcast, and they're showing me all these things, and I'm just like, okay, hold on. So there's a giant gelatinous cube, and there's like stuff stuck in it as an action figure. And then in the trailer, they jump into the cube where you can't live, like the blob. I'm like, you can't breathe. So I have to be honest right now. If I had to pick one thing, I'm like, okay, I want to go see this movie.
Because I want to see the gelatinous cube.
It may be the D&D movie because it's so insanely bad looking to me. Like it just, to me, it looks like the silly that doesn't belong in the silly. Like Shazam makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
I would much and I watched that video and I'm with you. I want the Dungeons and Dragons of that car commercial.
Yes. God almighty, that would be
that
so
so much better. So much better.
And I just found out about that. Like that's been out for a while. And someone said something one time on one of these shows or something. And I was like, what on earth? I looked it up and I was like, my jaw was hanging open the first time I saw this. Like, what am I seeing? And I remember it was like a week or so later, but I remember it popped in my head and I found like free videos. There's free episodes out there on YouTube and other places. So I was like, oh. So I watched a couple episodes, and it is super hokey and corny.
Right.
And I don't care. I don't care. I had a good time.
Right.
I don't know that I can think of things that I'm like, it's going to be a great movie. So I'm with you, Jacob. Like I totally understand what you're saying about it, but I can't. There's definitely nothing. I'm not even excited about, Amazon's Lord of the Rings. I'm not excited about. I can't think of anything. I really can't. Even John Wick. I'm like, really, John Wick? I mean, we're on like chapter 4, chapter 5. I mean, really? Okay. Are you excited about it though?
I saw something the other day where I was like, okay, cool. That's something I can get behind. I saw a ad for season 2, Primal, and I'm like, oh, okay. That was because I really liked that.
All right, that's cool.
But yeah, as far as
I'm more excited about a lot of the indie stuff and things I just didn't know about. Like Ironcaster's still got me on this. I'm still trying to catch up, man. I'm sorry because he's giving me this Kamen Rider link, and he's got me on Ultraman's animated series on Netflix, which I have to be honest, I'm several episodes in and I'm really enjoying it. So if just for mindless stuff that's actually short. That's the problem too with watching some of these shows. I don't know about you, Joker. You're talking about your schedule, or me too. It's like hour-long episodes and whatever. Yeah, I'll ask someone I know 3 streams in a day. Well, was it a third stream? Really? Did I do a third stream? No. Well, I did a video. That doesn't count. The video is like okay, pull back the curtain. I don't know how Joker does it. For me, I already wrote my notes to do 2 movie reviews. So I just record it and I kind of put my little placers in there now. I didn't used to do that. I used to edit them separate. Now I put them in, and then those are my places. So I have my block. So that doesn't count as a third video. The stream was with Loki. But no, this was just an impromptu. I'm just sitting here doing I can't sleep yet. I'm just all right, we'll talk. So yeah, Kamen Rider, the Ultraman is so short, like these little 20, 30, 40 minute. They're shorter than a TV, and they're not as heavy. Let's be honest. Like if I looked away for 5 seconds, I'm not gonna be lost. I'm trying to watch The Old Man, which on Hulu, and it is really good. I need to send you a link. I need to send you a private chat.
Okay.
Let me see if I can figure out how to pull a private chat here real quick, and I'll send you a link. Yeah, you'll want this. This will make sure you won't have this problem anymore.
Well, at work I've got a one of my TVs. I've got a link. I've got a they've got a Amazon. They got an Amazon stick with a bunch of apps on it, and there's some high seas apps that I can go to.
Well, that's something that's something that can get you into a different way. You have to kind of get to like home
which on this channel we do not recommend.
I don't know anything about it. I mean, I'm just letting you know there are other channels that are on these shows are on. So it's you might be able to have access to that one instead. So
okay.
But yeah, Ultraman's like this great. He turned me on. It's on Netflix, but yeah, it's great. I'm trying to watch Old Man, but the problem is it's heavy. A lot of the scenes are dark. There's a fight scene. You can't see anything. It's dark. So it's just I have a harder time keeping up.
Lighting's bad.
So no, it's probably HD. So watching on my phone, it probably just doesn't translate well. So can't think of anything coming out that looks that good. Okay, so looks good is different than great, right? Looks good, is a different thing than great. So I can say there probably are things that look good. I don't know that I have something off the top of my head that's popping out of me, but I'm not excited about anything now. I have a major lull in my life where I'm not sure I even know. I'm more excited about because I just watched RRR. Have you heard about the buzz about RRR?
I have heard about it. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
It is long. It's like 3 hours long, and it is like it's subtitles.
It's like half my shift.
Well, let me give you a suggestion though, because it occurred to me today because I was trying to explain this movie. This movie is next to impossible to explain to someone.
Okay.
Because it's like 4 or 5 genres all mixed together. Here's the best way to explain it.
I've heard that.
Think of it as short stories.
Okay.
Right. So it opens with a short story. There's like an introduction about what's going to be like the MacGuffin of the story, what's going to drive the story. Then there's a short story for this character, then a short story for that character. Then they're going to meet, and then they're going to have. So there's little breaks in there. So you can probably get through the 20 minutes or so to get through the first short story, and then take a break and do another 20 or 30 minutes. I wish I had done it that way. It would have been a little bit easier on me. So,
right.
Can't recommend this movie enough. So I'm looking forward more to the other 2 films that this director's done, even though I know they're all in Hindi, so I'm going to have to watch the subtitles. It's going to be more challenging. But those movies are so well received. They're at least in the very good category based on all the accounts.
The last film I saw that I really, really enjoyed was the Northman.
Okay, I have not gotten through it. I have to be honest. I'm not enjoying it. I'm not far enough into it, or it's still too weirdly spiritual. He's just now finding his way. He's just now kind of getting. But that was a long road for me to so far. So I'm gonna try more tomorrow actually, because I've gotten through these things. Because all I have to do tomorrow is prep for the one interview.
Yeah, I watched it. When it finally came on Peacock, I watched it the first time. I watched it in a week. I watched it 4 times in a week.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not disliking it exactly. I just not a fan.
Right.
Ironcatcher's Kamen Rider, Kung Fu Bugman fighting. The rubber suit monster of the week, typically. It's what the Flash or a CW show should be. It's superheroes fighting monsters. Season 1 of Flash kind of was.
Yeah.
And at times CW did get it right. But no, I can't wait. I'm gonna get more into some of this other stuff that everyone's recommending because that's actually the good stuff. And I have to be honest, I haven't watched some of this Trek and some of this stuff in so long because I just bailed out.
Yeah,
I bailed out.
I haven't watched anything Trek since Voyager. So it holds no interest for me at all.
So I'm thinking about trying to go back and because I did watch a bunch of TOS episodes and I really had a great time. Yeah. Jacob Ironsides also thought The Northman was great. It's not everyone's cup of tea. It is a little artsy, and I think the problem for me right now is it's so artsy, but it's also I don't have attachment to the character yet.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you enough about the way they handled the introduction of these two characters in RRR that you just jump right in. Like it's crazy.
Right on. I felt the same way on another Netflix show. It was a animated show, which I thought was just beautiful. Was Arcane.
Yeah.
Arcane was amazing.
Hang on, I got somebody's being difficult here. Somebody trying to be funny, trying to sneak in and just be gross. Yeah, one of that nonsense. Sorry, distracted. Shenanigans. Right. Open mic. It's what you get sometimes. It's okay.
Right. Exactly.
They're not going to surprise me. It's not like I haven't had it. When you run a radio show, you get crazy stuff. Yeah. So what's your video on? We're just chatting about all sorts of Lazarus Overman's in here. Hey man.
I will be talking.
What do you want to talk about, Lazarus?
Oh yeah. So I will be talking about Faye's Barely Alive and just.
Yes.
Saying basically what we've been talking about here. So for those of you in the chat, you got a sneak preview of what I'll be saying, and Marvel has to always has to preach the message. Thank you, Drinker.
Man. I tell you what, it's we should. I'm really hoping that Agatha is bad as the concept is.
Oh,
I really am. I'm really hoping it's as bad.
Like it. That is something I am going to hate watch. That is going to be ridiculous. Okay, let's make an entire story because a character had a catchy tune, which don't get me wrong.
Was a ripoff of like an Addams Family jingle, right? I mean, it's not even really a cartoon.
It was the Munsters.
Munsters, yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong. Love the Munsters. So the little adaptation, I'm like, okay, I'm cool with it. I'm fine with it. And it fit within how that story was being told through decades of TV, which I was fine with. But you're gonna base an entire series on such a deep cut character?
Well, remember the character in the comic book is some little old lady,
right?
Basically, like the babysitter of
Who's the
Reed Richards' kid, Franklin Richards? Like she's and then she has crossover stuff, and she there's some other elements, but I'm like, this is all just made up crap that they've thrown together. Now they're gonna do a whole show on it. You're like, what on earth is going on over there?
And again, I can't fault Catherine Hahn because she's cashing.
Hey, listen, she's got the gig, man. She had to be right. She's riding that all the way to the freaking bank. Like, can you believe that I'm getting this gig?
Right. She must be.
She said for her whole life because now she could always just milk this for Comic-Cons. I got to be honest. If you're Catherine Hahn, if you were to catch this video, let me give you a word of advice. Just love on fans.
Yes.
Just love on fans.
Please.
Who cares how much they hate your show? Don't say one negative word.
No.
Just talk about, man, I love making this show. It was just so much fun. I may not know much about the original character. I can't wait to read more and learn more and get to know the fans more. Suck up.
Yes.
You will have a Comic-Con invite for the rest of your life. You could be 70 years old, still getting $10 or $20 a signature on some crappy 8x10 photo from this show. Ride it all the way to the bank, sister.
Same with the guy who got cast as Namor. Please.
Oh my God,
Please.
that guy, fat Namor, freaking makes me feel better about myself if he's got that job wearing those. Oh my gosh.
And I'm sorry, Aztec Namor. Does Pops? I have to ask this. Does Disney think we are that stupid?
They do. Because they told you that they changed it because they're afraid that we'll be confused with Aquaman. We were told that. It's one of the comments. One of the comments was to reduce or eliminate confusion with Aquaman. So I did a video or I made a comment or on a stream and I said, so the translation is, we're too dumb to understand the difference. Really?
Fuck off!
Namor is literally like the second character created. Ever. Like that's the second one, right? Like it was Human
Pretty
Torch and Timely. It was Human Torch, Namor, and then Captain America. Pretty sure I got my timeline right there. Aquaman came along later. We've all been doing fine this whole time. Anyway, Ironcaster says Agatha needs to just take a page out of Cavill's book and just say fans are passionate. That's fine. That's fine. You heard my pitch to Joker. That was off the top of my head. I didn't even have to write that down. No. I'm pretty good at this PR crap. I've been at Comic-Cons for so freaking long. I can tell you what the fans want to hear. It's not rocket science.
No, listen, it's not.
Just don't be a jackwagon.
Right.
I don't mind the actor. The costume is the problem. I don't know anything about the actor. The Aztec Namor could be the best freaking actor in the world. I don't know anything about this dude. I don't even care. Reality is this. I'm not blaming the actors in most of the Marvel shows either.
No.
Most of the actors in these horrible shows, there are some that have been bad, but not much.
Right. Like what was it? The Hawkeye show. Haley Steinfeld is a good actress.
She did fine with the role she was given. Jeremy Renner was great, to be honest, actually. Right. I thought he did a great job with the stuff he had to work with. Right. Marvel lost, Disney grabbed it. They're always over-release and the milk every drop until the original property sucks. I remember a cool movie in 78 called Star Wars. 77. WTF happened there. We have to clip that. This stream is useless for anything else, but we have to clip the Joker and Voice and I both. Like that was not. Wow. We are cut from the same cloth right there, my friend. Tabletop brother. I don't think I've had you in a stream in minutes. Hey, hanging with us, man. Caught up with you finally. Yeah. What do you want to talk about? Come up in here if you want. And just on a stream with normies. Awesome one. Awesome one. Awesome one. Please, if you're on Twitter, hit me with your address, man. I got to get you that card. There's a Darth Vader card called the Awesome One from the Empire Strikes Back series 2. I got to mail him one. I got to get him one.
Yeah,
I need his address.
Yeah. Awesome One. I was the same way. I was just on a stream. They're friends of mine, and they're normies. I mean, and the one of them claims to be a huge comic book fan. So I asked him if he had gotten his Rippaverse comic yet, and he was like, "What's Rippaverse? I don't know what you're talking."
There's your doorway. About. Got your gateway to the normies.
Right there, you go. And
then you just go and you just get all the other indie stuff you got off. So that's what I do. I went. Oh, by the way, I got this indie book. I got this indie book. I got this indie book. It's good for business.
And then they're talking about the San Diego stuff and how Marvel, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this looks so great and so amazing. It's gonna be wonderful." And I'm like, "Have you guys watched Phase 4?"
See, Joker Voice is more abrasive to the normies than I am. I'm a better diplomat. I know how to kind of like, I'm a patient fisherman at the boat. I know how to like cast and go like trying different bait and asking the right questions and playing them along. So he does not have that kind of patience. Also, I am for real, bro. I'm serious.
I'm not
promising you. I'm not promising you like a PSA graded 9, 10 or something. I'm just, you have a copy of this freaking card for yourself, man. Hey, Grifter. Thanks for coming up in here. Apologies, Minion. Hey, lady. We will talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. You can join us if you want. There should be a link pinned to the top. I'll throw it in again in case.
Yeah, that was
pretty open.
Just,
listen. Here's the thing. I'm not that tired yet, and I need the hours. I'm going to be transparent with you guys. I love hanging out. So
and I haven't been that abrasive yet. I I can be the dynamite in the water instead of casting out there. But it's getting to a point to where I want to tell these folks, raise your damn standards.
I understand. So I'm starting a show on next Wednesday. I'm going to call. I think we're going to try to find a way to word it this way. So we had two different angles because we're going to talk about Kenobi first. Two different angles. Either.
Oh my God.
So you liked Kenobi, or deconstructing Kenobi, because you think you like it. So a common idiot is going to come on with me. We're going to do Kenobi, and we're going to go through like these things that these people say that they like about it. So
okay, so
let me get Tabletop Junkie up in here first. He's going to come up here. Hey, brother.
Hello, brother. Thank you for having me.
Hello. Everybody's welcome. We're just kind of hanging out. So
hello, Tabletop. How are you?
I am doing fine. Joker voices. That's what you go by, huh? You do a good job.
For some strange reason, I'm not sure why.
Steven, you sound like Mark Hamill there. You really did capture the Mark Hamill moment.
Why, thank you. Oh, Steven is here. Hello, Steven.
Yeah, come on in. There's a link there. Come on in. I'm talking about whatever nonsense we want to talk about. So right now we're just kind of rambling.
The water's
around.
fine. The water's fine. I haven't thrown in the acid yet.
So Joker is discussing how our interaction with the normies go, and I know how to play that. So my approach is asking questions like, what did you like about this? Or when they say how much they like it, it says, well, what'd you think about this scene? By the time they get to the fifth thing that they hated, they didn't realize that they hated, then they start to go, maybe I didn't like it as much as I thought I liked it.
Well, I find it interesting because I'll be in the chat on the stream or I'll be on the stream of this one channel and I'll mention something and they're like, yeah, I didn't like that. Yeah, I didn't like that. Yeah, I didn't like that. But when it comes down to the end, when it's like, how would you rate this out of 5? And they're all like, oh, a 4, a 4.5, and I'm just like, based on what? Do we agree on
a 4? I don't know. Most things are a 4.
Nah.
I don't know that I would go much for it. Yeah, you're a way harder critic.
Obi-Wan was a 2.5, barely. And
are we doing 10? Are we doing 10 or are we doing 5?
Out of 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're fine. 2's fine. A lot of stuff is a 2. All right, Steven Ransom's here. Hey, Steven. How you doing?
Hello, Steven.
Are you muted, bro?
Give me a sec.
There you go. Okay, cool. No rush. We're good. Let's see what we're saying.
There we
go. You got to get them to follow through on that. I don't like that. Yeah. You kind of got to get them to say I didn't like something, and then you kind of go off of there. So cool. Cool. So Tabletop, how you been, my friend? How's things going?
Oh, been pretty busy. Finally got an AC installed in my computer in my studio room because we just recently this week we had 3 or 4 days where we were 95 with the heat index up to 106.
That's all.
So without an AC and even just powering with fans and making a wind tunnel did not do very well for streaming. And then even when I turned them down to make it well enough for streaming, I was too hot and I was heat exhausting myself in my own room. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just, so someone bought me an AC and it's working fine. So now I'm able to do more streaming now without overheating.
So
that's awesome.
So with the heat index, you were at, what was that, 107?
106, which is weird because I live in the northern states. We don't get that. We did reach 3 days of record-breaking temps.
Yeah, it's right now it's 7 p.m. where I am. It's still about 95, and it's probably going to be an overnight low of 88.
You must be in the south or out west somewhere because I'm in the
Las Vegas.
Oh, Vegas. Oh, there you are. Yep. Yeah, I'm in Michigan. So, that's unusual.
Hey.
Like our hottest day is like 95. That's our hottest, and that doesn't generally last. Sometimes we have our 75 and 85 degree weather. So that's why I live in the northern states because I like the cool
humid.
weather.
But it's humid.
Sadly, yes, we do have a lot of humidity.
That's
Steven.
worse.
Steven, what's going on with you, man? How you doing?
Oh, not much. Just kicking around. I've been switched over to a vampire schedule, so I've been up all night and sleeping most of the day. But
So
I got a comment on this heat thing. I was just on Blaine's Escape Corner, and he lives in like Seattle, Portland area, and
Mhm.
he was complaining about these massive heat waves in the northern section of North America. And it's like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm in LA. It's been 65, 70 degrees for the last 5 days. I'm
all the
like
smog
right
blocking
next
out
to
the sun
Arizona.
over there. What's going on over there, man?
I don't understand. It's like, it's weird.
See,
It
you
just
have
seems weird that it's so hot up there.
so you have my normal temp.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Our
my normal temp.
timeline
That's my
broken.
normal temp at night. And during the day, like I said,
Multiverse.
75, 85. That's it. Tomorrow's supposed to be mid 80s too, but that's usually the highest we get. But like this year has just been, it's just been a drag. You know, I'm not sure what's going on, but I tell people, everyone wants to argue climate change or something, and it's like, I say, I call it
Maybe.
I call it the Earth's just turning. I mean, it happens every few thousand years. We already know that. I mean, just changes.
Okay. Let's see. Let's go back to chat here for a second. Oh, someone says most media is a 3. I clicked the wrong button. Hold on. I don't know about you guys, but StreamYard has a mind of its own. All right, there we go. Most media is a 3. So I don't know if we're on a 10 scale or back to the 5. If we're on a 5, that's a little generous. To me, a 3 is a good movie. I can recommend you going to see it on a 5 because I grew up on the 5. Favorite Joker quote: "It'd be funny if it weren't so pathetic. Oh, what the heck? I'll laugh anyway."
Okay, fine. I'll do it. Here we go. It'd be funny if it wasn't so pathetic. Oh, what the hell? I'll laugh anyway.
It's crazy.
From the
If
Joker
DC doesn't,
Returns,
if you
Batman
don't,
Beyond.
if DC does not hire you after this show, they are missing the best opportunity of their life.
Oh my God.
And-
I'll tell you,
and-
with the current state of media, I wouldn't even take that job because
Yeah.
you would be just such under pressure to like fall into line and mask up and shoot up and poke up and all the other ups that they ask you to do. I don't know.
Okay. So, with my experience and the voice actors that I know, you don't get that a lot. A lot of the voice actors that I know take Pops's suggestion for Catherine Hahn. They appreciate the fans. They love the fans.
Suck up.
Yes, they suck up to the fans, and
They're super
ride that
cool
dude-
to talk to.
Yes, they are. And
The only one I've had an issue with is the guy. I can't remember his last name. He voiced Space Ghost. George.
because I mean, just a sweet,
George Lowe.
just an absolute sweet person who I've interacted with a few times, but I disagree with her on just about everything. Is Tara Strong because she appreciates fans. I mean, we could not get into a talk about the real world politics.
Yeah,
We
they're
did
all
it.
kooky. They
Right.
all live in a bubble, and a lot of them have. A lot of them. The thing is that they make good money, but they have to really, really work. They
Yes.
can't just sit around on the
No.
laurels. A lot of them are like, they have these massive resumes of work, but they're not
right.
crazy crackpot stuff. I'm not saying they wouldn't, Stephen. I totally agree. They probably
Right.
would require masks and some of that nonsense because a lot, especially if it's recording in California, it's not doing remote recording or something like that. But anyway, so
But
let's
and-
see.
Oh, and if
Nino. Ironcaster, what the hell is he talking about? Nino.
and
I know what El Nino is.
No, I mean we know what it is, but like we don't need to bring up El Ninos and El Ninos and stuff. Like that. Those people talk about just making up crap. I should have gone to school to be a meteorologist because you could be wrong every freaking day and make 6 figures.
Yes, and nobody blames you other than
And
the people in their
tabletop?
houses.
Hashtag
And,
duck and cover
and-
because it's the
and-
nukes. I caught you
and
there.
tabletop.
Uh-huh.
If the Warner Brothers came to me
Uh-huh.
and offered me to do the voice of Joker and I turned it down, I would want all 3 of you to slap me
Fair, I will do that. Can do.
because
I will be
not
asking
turn
you-
that-
I would be asking you to see the contract so I know how much money you're making and what kind of rights you're signing away before I decide what advice to give you. But
Okay.
that's my
Pops is more. See, Pops is
Pops-
more of a
um,
professional in that. I would say.
I've
Me,
been there,
Pops-
bro. I've been dealing with
me,
these
I'm
people
just-
for
I will come to
freaking
you.
20 something
me,
years.
Me,
when
I'm
and
just
if
looking
that
at you for the
happens-
voice. Like, I love your voice because it reminds me of my childhood Joker.
Oh yeah, yeah. It
Which-
definitely is
which-
animated series.
Which
I seen all that. I wanted to say something, but I was gonna wait my turn. I kind of
Lazarus
interrupted Pops a few times.
Lazarus is with me. We're in Florida. Lazarus, you need to hook me up, man. Let's look at the guy. We'll hang out sometime, have lunch or something like that. I do. It's too late to talk about climate change. We're too late. Yeah, well, we're gonna flood anyway. They're all liars because they don't believe in it because they all buy houses on the beach down here.
right.
They're just
Exactly.
frauds. All right. Also, wanted to create his scale for us. So 4 and 5 is good. 3 is average. 2 and 1 is awful. Okay. Well, first off, a 5 is a unicorn. And that's part of the scale of problem. We're giving away scores like trophies and
Right.
participation, things like that. So, all right. Let's see here. Careful, Pops demands a percentage of any contract. Of course. Yeah, I don't work for free. Listen, I'm a capitalist, Ironcaster.
Right, exactly.
These men will
Exactly.
respect that.
Right, exactly. I
In
expect
all
that.
honesty, Joker, all I meant was I've seen the Harley Poison Ivy trailer,
Right.
and I would be embarrassed to be a great Joker for that show. But
That's true.
professionally, I could not sneeze at the check. I wouldn't throw a horse out of bed if it was eating crackers. That's just to be fair. But I don't know. Current climate just has me so dismissed of every effort they make creatively. It just seems to be just this crazy battlefield that we're dealing with. That's all.
Well, it is that. And it is a cutthroat world. Once you're in, you've got to play the game. So,
Right.
And fortunately, the cultural pendulum is kind of shifting.
Not
to
yet.
where
Money's mattering more, but not quite enough. Here they're trying to
Right.
request another quote. Okay, this is another quote for the Joker. Let's see here.
Trump's daughter finally fulfilled his dreams by screwing him in testimony. And they called me crazy.
There, Lazarus, you can clip that. There you go. We're like just doing like recordings. We're gonna piece this together and have a little short story by the end of the show, whatever. So I have no plans. Sorry, there was no like end of the show. This was literally like, I can't sleep yet. This stuff I just did 2 videos. I don't want to do any more. And let's just see what happens. The Joker popped on. Next thing you know, we've gone through San Diego Comic-Con nonsense. We're talking about all sorts of crazy stuff. So
Which
I don't know. What do you guys want to talk
which-
about?
Which, speaking of, I'm gonna finish up scripting and recording that video so I can drop it, so I can schedule it for tomorrow in the AM, and then
Sounds
I'm gonna
good.
eat, and then I need to take a nap because tonight is a work night.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you hanging out with me for a little bit. It's been too long, like you said, so I'm glad we were able to fit it in.
Very much so, Pops. Tabletop, it was a pleasure to meet you. Steven, always a pleasure. Chad,
It was nice meeting you too, sir.
check out my channel. I'm at 240 on the road to wherever it takes me. So let's get me up
I have the link
on them
still pulled up. I
subs
got the
there.
link pulled up. I'll put it back. I'll put the link
Right on.
back in again for you, bro. There you go.
All right. As I say in every video, always have fun. Hashtag keep talking. And I've added hashtag we will win. And always keep a smile on your face. Toodles.
Have a good night.
That just freaking made my night, man. I'm just gonna say
His
that
laugh
made my
part is
night.
really the laugh part is always like the weirdest and creepiest part.
Oh
so.
man, he could have told me he played the Joker in real
And you
life,
wouldn't have known.
and I would have believed him. I so would have
Mhm.
believed him. He would have sold me.
Yeah, he did it once or twice on a couple of videos he did, and I was just like, whoa, that's freaking great. Yeah. So, Steven, what's going on, man? Haven't had a chance to chat with you on a stream before. What's going on?
Nothing much. It's San Diego Comic-Con hit, and I kind of had to step away from YouTube because of all the bad news. So it just kind of got.
Oh, isn't that truth?
It's just. I mean, have you seen any of the footage? I know the Flacids
Oh,
were
yeah, we
putting up
did
some stuff, and
Ironcaster kind of joined me. We just jumped right on here on Thursday, went through all this D&D stuff and different photos and videos, and then we talked about some toys, and we streamed a little bit. I kind of followed a few things over the weekend, and it was mostly like trailers. I did the Flacids were live. Chris Gore was live. I saw some different things and was kind of like, I think we said earlier in this little stream, we're like, what is it that anyone's looking forward? Is there anything? I don't think I've heard anyone say this is great. I can't wait for this to come out. I don't care what it is. Like, give me something.
Well, let me at least give you something from my point of view, Pops, because I have renewed faith because it's not Disney making the D&D movie. So I have somewhat faith in that movie. I know some people don't. I'm just trying to keep an open mind because honestly, when it comes to movie media right now, I have no faith in it no more. I didn't like what came out of what's coming out of Warner Brothers. I didn't like what's coming out of DC, Marvel, Disney, all that stuff, even though two of those companies are owned by the same, each company also. So this is the one thing I am looking forward to because, you know, the comment that people are spreading around Twitter is it's at least got to be better than the early 2000 film of D&D, which had one of the Wayans brothers in it. And who was it? I don't want to say Dean Cain. I'm thinking of someone else. But that movie wasn't really any good. So
was it Jeremy Irons?
No, Jeremy Irons. Oh no, I would never say anything bad about him. I love Jeremy Irons. No, it was the other guy that played. That was his best friend. Yeah. Let me look it up.
Yeah, that's not much of a bar to hit. I mean,
yeah, I know.
If that was even the bar that you wanted to meet, you were already like 1-2 stars at best.
Yeah. Justin Whalen, who played Ridley Phoebes. Yeah, from the early 2000s. So, I am a big fan of Chris Pine. I'm just like I said, I'm keeping an open mind. Yes, Ironcaster. I've watched that twice today, as well as the first movie 3 times yesterday because it is a real D&D movie. So, but those movies are old. I'm trying to look for something new.
I think Steven and I are going to agree more on the D&D movie because to me it looks it's too goofy and silly and just there's all of those little caveats keep it from being great. Now, I'm not saying that we can't be pleasantly surprised and it could turn out to be good, but I'll be shocked beyond all get out if it's actually a great film.
Well,
and I'm also not dissing anybody that wants to go see something that's more like a genre film that you want to see. Like I said, I have no problem. I'm actually like I have no problem wanting to see Shazam. I'll take my lumps because to me it still fits the vein of the first film. Does it look a little overly silly and goofy? Yeah, sure. The first one was too. Like I get it. I don't expect a lot, but it's pretty sad. I can't remember a time where we've come out of Comic-Con and somebody didn't go, well, what about this thing or that thing or something? And I don't really hear that too much today or the last couple of days. No. I don't hear anybody excited about much of anything.
And honestly, Pops, this is it for me. If this movie, like I said, I'm neutral about it. I have an open mind. If I said I hated it, I wasn't even going to waste my time with it. If I like, oh my God, this looks good, I'm going to go to the movie theaters. But I'm kind of like on the fence where I'm going to wait for it to come out. I'm going to see if I can find it on a streaming service when it comes out, and then I'm going to watch it and see where that goes. And at this point, this is a statement I've made recently, even on Jace's channel, that this is it for me. If this film bombs, I'm done. Like I'm not even looking at films anymore. My alternatives are going to be strictly other types of media, such as book reading or tabletop gaming, because as far as any movies are concerned from Hollywood, I have been disappointed over the last year. That's 1 year too much for me.
Have you seen Maverick?
I'm not negative. I'm not a negative person.
Did you see Maverick?
Not yet. I heard that one was good. I have not had the chance.
Yeah, I do. I don't get to get. So my high recommends right now are, if you heard me earlier, I said RRR, which is a Hindi movie. I know that's not for everyone. Think of it as short stories. You don't have to sit through the whole thing at once. Subtitles aren't as bad in that one because it is set with the British, so therefore there is a lot of English in that one. High recommend. Epic film, deserves to be an Oscar film. Super fantastic, and it hooks you right away. Really good film. Maverick is probably the best like mainstream Hollywood film. It's super fast. It's entertaining. It's fun. Patriotic. It's emotional. Hits all the marks. I would highly recommend that one. Okay. And then the only other one that is kind of like have it as a high recommend, which is probably more like a soft high because I know you're really into like the horror genre. Because The Black Phone is more of a suspense thriller than it is sort of a horror film. But it's really,
Okay.
but it's really good. I actually
Well, you
like
know,
it's really,
as
really
long
good.
as it's well written, then I'm gonna
It's well
definitely
written.
take your recommend on that.
Yeah,
because
those are the three that I recommend.
What's
right now.
really killed the media is all the negativity. I'm not a negative person. I don't want to be
Yeah.
portrayed as a negative person. So you know what makes me kind of positive is finding new tabletop games and presenting those on my channel too.
Yep.
So I found other alternatives that I can do. What really killed it overall for me was, and everyone warned me ahead of time not to see the new Doctor Strange movie, the Multiverse of Madness, and I said, well, I was really bored one day and I decided, well, I'm gonna see it. I'm already disappointed anyway, so they can't make me any worse. And it's like, well, you know what? I wish I never saw it because it did get worse. It was worse than what
It
anyone's
sure
ever told
was.
me it was be.
It was bad. It was rough.
I'm going to
Steven-
recommend a film that I've been every time I've been in a chat. I'm really surprised that a lot more people aren't talking about it. I see a lot of reaction channels reacting to it, and they're having a grand old time. And that is Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Okay.
It is a multiverse film of multiverse films. It's extremely tongue-in-cheek, but it never loses its gravitas. And I'm going to bring up another property that I had been hearing was in development, and this goes back to like the late 1990s. They never got it off the ground, and I'm gonna tell you what direction they were thinking of taking, and I'm so glad they never went this way. But that is the $6 Million Man.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Here's a property that could so easily capture the same vibes as that recent HBO Max or Netflix show with the big hulking mass of a super agent guy. But they didn't do it. And the direction they were planning on taking was a tongue-in-cheek comedy with Chris Rock as the $6 Million Man.
Oh, I don't remember that being rumored. I remember them talking about Mark Wahlberg, but I don't remember the Chris Rock part.
I think this was
Ugh.
before
That
that. I think this was
sounds-
before that.
that's-
But
Horrible idea.
I don't understand what this comedy thing is. I've been on this crazy train of being extremely disappointed with the techniques of comedy that they keep applying to these totally staunch, stoic films of these properties of excellence, and about being excellent was kind of like the theme, the backdrop of every single storyline. How Star Trek became so silly, where even like the last couple of feature-length films where Scotty's banging his head against the friggin' I-beam on a ship he knows the blueprints of in his sleep.
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I don't get it. And I'll tell you, I literally bailed out off of YouTube for like a few days because that D&D trailer just really blackpilled me. I was like, what the hell is this? Here's a property that's already got another property behind it. All you need to do, you guys do copying pasting all the time. Just copy and paste directly off that cartoon series. You will have a completely satisfied audience. Not only that, but you've literally got a cliffhanger built into the show. You could take it right from the cliffhanger and do the feature film of how the hell they get home without any hiccups or problems. On top of that, you've got Stranger Things backing you up with D&D as a revived franchise, and the kids that are super geeky being super geeky and not being beautiful, but being totally serious about their efforts. Those kids aren't tongue-in-cheek. Stranger Things is not tongue-in-cheek. It's totally deadpan serious. And not for deadpan comedy like an Airplane. Even Airplane took itself seriously.
The footage that we showed, because we talked about that trailer on Thursday, and we found that we pulled up that car trailer, the famous Renault car trailer where they adapted
that's
the
the one
actual
I'm
cartoon.
referring to. Yeah.
Like, so we have everything we needed to get that movie done. And I'm not going to totally disagree with tabletop either. Like, I understand why the gamers want it to be good and they want to give it a fair chance. And I understand some tongue-in-cheek elements to it, but to me, it felt it felt more of that and the cheesy mass-produced Hollywood stuff than it did anything D&D. And I want to go back to the Everything and Everywhere. I don't even know the whole title because like it's more words than that. I hear love and hate, Steven. I hear love and hate. I hear people going, yeah, it's really, really good. And I hear people are like, oh. So I haven't seen it yet, and I'm not trying to say I have an opinion of why I've avoided it. I just haven't gotten to it. So we'll see. I don't know yet. Austin went basically, I think he agreed with me earlier. We were kind of giving Shazam a little bit of fair love. And I'm not going to try to say I'm looking forward to it, but I'm like, I wasn't turned off. Like to me, it felt like at least it was in the same vein as the first film. It didn't turn me off. He says I don't trust Hollywood. I choose not to go to the theater anymore for most stuff. I agree. Again, I wouldn't tell you to go see things that suck. So like Maverick, I can see, and if you want them to keep making things that are good, keep driving up that box office. And Black Phone was fine if you like suspenseful kind of something like that. And Mike's here. Hey, the Comic Relief Crusaders here. The link was in the chat. I could put it in again if you guys want to come in. I can't go too much longer. I do have to get a little bit of sleep here soon. Ironcaster does have the best point. He showed off his Ravenloft book. It really seems like a no-brainer because Ravenloft was this massive thing. I mean, I'm not a gamer, but like I said, going back to the 80s and 90s, guys, you go to these stores, comic books, movies, models, gaming. It was all under one roof. And the store by the university where I went to school, it was called Merlin's. So they had gaming stuff there. Ravenloft was a big seller, huge back in the day.
Did like the original because I got a chance to look at the original versus the new 5e edition of Ravenloft.
No, he's talking about. I think his version maybe edition 2 or something. But yeah,
right. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
He's talking about OG. He's not talking about this 5th edition.
Okay. Oh, him and I actually he ran a campaign for me in Ravenloft with the 5th edition.
Okay.
And he actually told me it was kind of bad. So I think it's because also a different actor took over, or not a different actor, different writer took that one over for the 5e versus the original.
Yeah. You never see those cartoon editions again. Disney partly owns them. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we talked about that. Hey, Gap. Thanks for hopping back in, man. Definitely got to talk soon. We definitely need to talk soon. Absolutely. So, well, Steven, so let me ask this. So obviously you talk about being black-pilled and that kind of thing. Just forget about San Diego Comic-Con. What are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you finding some sort of joy out of right now?
Actually, you're gonna find I'm a big man on retrospect. I've been devouring and redevouring this 20-hour supercut of a synopsis of Berserk.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, I'm down with that. Yeah.
There's this guy named Almighty Lolly who put together a 20-hour synopsis of all 5 major story arcs. And he's a joyous narrator. He does a fantastic job, bringing the human element into his narrative, where he's making jokes at the people listening, saying, dude, I've been at this for like 9 hours. I need to throw in a few joke panels just to keep my head straight. Wonderful narration. But for me, I like going back to these older epic properties that deserve their fan base to kind of reevaluate whether or not I'm actually the fan I think I am, because, any mature viewer should question themselves. I mean, how is it possible that I'm wrong about everything that's going on right now? I mean, could it be that I don't know what I'm talking about? And then you look at this property and you're just like, no, this is just goodness. You see all the good writing, the good artwork, the good fan base, the good speculation. So I've been doing a lot of that kind of stuff. Plus I'm into a whole bunch of other, ancient civilization channels and stuff like that too.
Very cool.
I use as a distraction. Because
no, that's the way to do it, man. YouTube is this. I have this note. I don't have my note folder open on my screen, but I have this take that I have about how big. I wrote out this take on YouTube is so big, and I forget if it was in Free Guy. and there was something I saw, and there were references to YouTubers and YouTube, and I had no idea who these people were. And then it's like they weren't only just obscure or whatever, they were like these massive creators in a different bubble than I was in. And I thought to myself, think about that, things have gotten so big. Like, what are like 2 or 3? Like for me, I have Pat McAfee on my phone, so that's like a sports guy. He has like this crazy 3-hour sports show, whatever. But they do clips, so it's easy for me to keep up with some different topics or things like that. I don't have to devote 3 hours of my life to see what's going on. Then I have like, let's say, a political YouTuber who does clips or whatever, so I get like pretty honest description of their headlines and those kinds of things. And obviously, Tabletop's doing gaming and stuff, and I'm not even going to pretend that I even have a clue to what they're talking about half the time. But I do enjoy the journey with it and learning and understanding it. I have an appreciation of art and storytelling and all of that. And it's so massive. I don't know about you guys. I went on this journey where these people have like these abandoned building videos. You're finding that kind of stuff?
Dumpster diving videos, those are big too, and it's like, come
they're
on.
They're freaking addictive too, man. You'll be down the rabbit hole. Next thing you know, you spent like an hour of your life like looking around empty warehouses and hospitals.
There's a couple of missing persons channels. There's one guy does this one where it's all illustrated to the narrative.
Wow,
I mean, these beautiful pencil illustrations that he either does or commissions in, but they're cold, hard police cases, and he just gathers up all of the evidence and plays the story out beat for beat, moment to moment, and it's intoxicating because you just get submerged into the storyline and all the characters involved, and you put your detective hat on. It is just intoxicating. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
We can't have a talk about things that are good without including the man, the myth, the legend stuff.
There he is.
The motto is find something great and make the best of it. So he's
what
all
an avatar. That is a fantastic avatar you got there, Iron Cat.
He's got avocados for eyes. Avocados for eyes.
This comes from one of my favorite Twitter accounts. It's of this account called like Diva, and it's this artist who draws like a cartoon, like this little cartoon strip series of like nuns and ducks, and it's the most wholesome thing ever.
Very cool. You were pointing out that there are millions of subscribed YouTuber things we've never heard of. I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. And then Awesome went, listen, I am guilty, man. During the pandemic, these resale channels, these yard sailor things, I used to be like that. Back in the day before the eBay fees and the shipping stuff was so bad, I already had a line on comic books and toys and cards and all that, but I was like, wow, you never know. We would go yard sailing. I know it's their term, Saturday mornings or whatever. And so during the pandemic, this stuff started resurfacing. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Some of the stuff might be coming back. I would spend hours watching this. They would just be on. I shouldn't say watching because I'm not like watching, but it's like just on. Yeah. I'm with you. It's awesome. I'm with you. Awesome, Mom.
There's a channel out of Japan.
Goodwill
actually,
resale.
A couple of two channels out of Japan that I watch. One, I can't pronounce the name. It's Kenji something or other, scale modeling. And then this other guy called A4 Garage. And these are two master craftsmen at the scale art of usually around 1/24th or 1/12th scale. And they build automobiles. And this guy, A4 Garage, took a Mini Cooper model that was absolutely trash. You could just see it. He's holding it up against superior model kits, and you could just see that the molding's off and all this other nonsense, and the doors don't open. And by the time he finished, this thing had wing glass window opened. The pop opens on the side. The doors opened and closed. The seats went up and down. He had completely rebuilt the entire engine block practically from scratch. And it's just, you want to talk about a rabbit hole, just lost for hours, just envying this person's skill. And you have no right to envy because they probably spent their whole life building these skills up. But just God almighty, some of the pieces that they finish.
If you have to repair something or do even like a minor thing at the house, Don't you just go to YouTube and look it up? I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Actually,
It's
I was taught to do rehab on houses, electrical and stuff, so I don't really need that. Now if I have to do something on my car, or fix my lawnmower, I'm on YouTube.
Yeah, I had to we had to change the belt so it wasn't my the blade belt, it was the drive belt came off. And I couldn't figure out exactly because it's the way this model. Well, it's a Craftsman, so you deal with that nonsense. But it doesn't go around one of the pulleys. It goes between two of the pulleys. Like so, instead of doing what you think it would do, it goes between the two. So therefore, it creates a tension that doesn't seem like it fits your brain. And then when you see it, you're like, oh, well, of course it does. It would work like that. But yeah, it's like YouTube is like gold when it comes to this. You find some person who made a video from like 4 years ago. And it's like they have an accent or something, or it's just
I can't tell you how many times I fixed a lawnmower twice by repairing the carbonator, and I didn't even know how to do that. I figured I just replaced it, but they said, they told me to spray this, scrub this with the toothbrush, be very careful, spray it again, let it run for 15 minutes, and it worked, and it never failed. And I was like, yep, that's how we do it now.
I've told my wife that she should do this stuff on the farm. She should do these videos on the farm because she's learning as she goes, but she's not filming it. She's not documenting it. And I'm like,
I would. There's plenty of us who want to get into agriculture now.
There like I got down this rabbit hole for a minute there of like videos popping up in my feed of farmers just like shoeing horses.
Oh yeah, it's an art.
Like it was. Yeah, there's channels that have thousands of subscribers just watching people take care of.
It's an art. We pay a farrier. And it's watching him and in this Dr. Pole type demeanor that he has is it's shocking. We have donkeys. We don't have horses, and they're not to be trifled with, man. You don't want to get kicked by a donkey. So yeah, we pay him to do it, and it's an art. But my wife's learned how to do the goat, so. After watching him, taking some advice, and while we're watching, I don't know how many hours of YouTube videos on all these animals, how to take care of them and stuff. So, yeah.
Funniest thing, I got in the same thing with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and I saw Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and I was like, oh my God, it's Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And he was showing off his ranch, and he had a 2-hour video. I sat there and watched it the whole time. I remember at the time I was with a girl at the time, and she looks at me and she says, are you getting bored of that? I'm like, no, it's Jeffrey Dean Morgan on his ranch with his family, and he was showing off his family and everything. It was an awesome video.
I have this little YouTube channel that's like it was private. I think it's not private, but I don't think it's not letting me switch. If I switch the channel, it might mess up the stream. I don't know if it'll let me even do that to try to find it because there's like just little shorts and videos of like the ducks and stuff like that on it or whatever. I don't even post on it regularly, but
man.
Yeah, we had our well put in. Oh, I can do that. I can show you guys the well video. See if I can get it to load while we're talking. It's just like I cut it together because it was like 7 minutes, and I told these guys because this is their first well. They're like they've saved us so many times out there, and they came out. This is their first video with the new machine. It's this old machine because these machines they use now are like $1 million or whatever. So. They refurbish this old machine.
Yeah, that's another family of channels that is absolutely fascinating to watch. Not necessarily because it gets hyper specific to something you might want to do,
right?
But these channels that resurrect these old pieces of hardware, like a 1960s chainsaw from Czechoslovakia, or some hand drill set that like does door coring and stuff like that.
The hammer, you'll find they find like the piece of the hammer or the knife, and next thing you know, they do the resurrection. You're like, holy cow, that's the craziest thing. You're like,
yeah, or some like 1920s like piece of like kitchen appliance, and they're able to completely resurrect it. They don't have to rewire it. All the aluminum is still viable. They got to replace a few grummets here and there, but it's like they built these things to not only last, but to be completely repaired from scratch without any bats of an eye. And they still work. They especially all the ones that don't have power. Those are the best ones. The hand cranking things with, how to core an apple, or this wine corking machine or stuff.
I put this little video together. There's a machine. now it's banging in that pipe in the ground. The first part was the drilling. Now it hammers that pipe down in there. That's what that pinging is. This big hammer slamming on the pipe. You can see it down the top of the screen. We have water. Donkeys have water. This is their well. Here's the next morning when they're letting it flush out the pipe.
The earth is made of beer foam.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, I kept asking all these stupid questions because, you know, we had wells done in other areas and other homes, but nothing like this. I was like, why is this so? He's like, well, because it's like so much deeper here. And I don't know, just that part of the state. And you could be honest, you could be 20 feet over there and it might be a little bit different. But in order to get a lot of the dirt and stuff out, they use all that foam and it just rises right out. It's crazy. I kept a little rock. It's about that big. I'm gonna do something with it. It was 94 feet down. And it came out. It's this big thing. So he's like, no one's seen this rock since God. So here you go, buddy. And I just gave it to me, and I'm like, whoa, that's so freaking cool. It's like 94 foot is where that was.
Allegedly.
No, he could count the pipe. And that's how much pipe went in, and that's when it came out.
No, I mean the whole allegedly as to how long ago that thing was above the surface.
I have no idea how long it was. Who knows how long it could have worked its way down there? But it was a fun little moment for sure. So yeah,
that's
a
all
rabbit
drilling
hole.
Technology, straight out of the oil well guys. I mean, that whole tapping a pipe into the ground and stuff. That's
when I read
the
permit. It's closer and more in line with what they permit you to do than what the other guys do. Because the other guys want to make a bigger hole and drive the pipe down really fast. It's a way to make more money and do it faster. But it's not more accurate or not more correct. So, Apple Core Nevermore, Donald Duck. Okay. Mama's obsessed with AGT clip channels now. Okay.
AGT?
AGT. Mm-hmm. I don't know what AGT is. What's AGT?
I'm looking it up.
Okay.
America's Got Talent.
America. Oh
yeah. My God.
Yeah. Well, we've all been down the rabbit's hole. Even we're not gonna lose our men card by admitting that we've all watched too many clips of The Voice or something like that. It's like it's all happened. It's all happened. It's okay.
Oh,
it's been around for 20 years now.
I remember watching back in the day, Lindsey Sterling was this violinist who went on to America's Got Talent to try and compete, and they told her that she wasn't good enough. Well, fast forward today, she now tours.
Oh, yes. And I'm going to tell everyone this. I'm a big Lindsey Sterling fan. I love what she can do with the violin.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, Mike. Mike, well, come on in here. There, I put the link. Did we put the link back in? The link was in chat. Did it go away? I don't know, guys. I'm sorry about chat.
But the chat's blowing up left and right. It's still there. It's at the very top. For some reason, I don't think anyone thinks to look up top because
it didn't pin
there.
I thought I pinned.
It's there.
No, it is pinned.
It's been okay.
There you go, Mike. You're welcome.
I just didn't think to look up.
And by the way, awesome one. Yes, this is me. That's my face. That's what I really look like in person. So yeah, awesome one was asking about an hour ago.
Cool. Very cool. So.
Yeah, Pops and I remember the old advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if Ironcaster's on board with that one too, but I remember pencils coming in the box and it had paper that was photocopied and
graph paper, baby. Graph paper.
And you had you got dice with a crayon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So you had to fill in the letters. That. Yep.
And I have to be honest, I was not really into it that much. I was good with the graph paper and helping people because I'm good at math. So for the guys that I knew that were not or whatever, we would talk about different things and trying to make sure scale was accurate and trying to like make some suggestions here and there or whatever. But I'd play video games while they were doing it, or I would, I used to make my friends crazy because I would like ask. That's how I learned how to do a Rubik's Cube. That's how I learned how to I used to be able to play like a stupid kid songs on a keyboard. I don't know how to do it anymore, but it was like stuff I would do to entertain myself while they were playing games until we could go to another movie or something. Because I really was just a movie and comic book nerd. I really wasn't into a lot of the other stuff. But I also
Yeah, I
played
don't know if
sports,
anybody,
so-
I don't know if any of us were really, really into it. It was just so creative. It was a team effort. You had this fantasy realm that was being created in real time. It was a choose your own adventure story at the same time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I find it fascinating that our old D&D maps translate directly to those world maps on Skyrim, on World of Warcraft. I mean,
Mhm.
visually, graphically, it just transferred right over. I mean, they even have the grid on some of those things too.
Yeah, I know Ironcaster was showing off one of his books earlier on the Talk Hard show, and yeah, it had grids and maps and stuff in the back. It was freaking awesome. It was awesome. So
Well, that was a modern reprint of that original Ravenloft module.
the Ravenloft book. Okay.
So that was the 74, 76, whatever year it came out.
Don't you tell me. I wouldn't remember. I'm sorry. It was already out from my general memory of all that kind of stuff. I wasn't enjoying it in real time to have a timestamp on it for me.
83.
83.
And I don't. I find it surprising. Pops, you remember a D&D? Not D&D. Same company though that made D&D. Did a box set called Star Frontiers. It was sci-fi role playing.
Look at the box.
Oh yeah, Star Frontiers was their attempt to do sci-fi.
Yeah.
To be
Yeah.
The box looks familiar. Yeah, I remember seeing the box.
I don't think it lasted a couple of years. At best, it may have lasted a couple of years, and I don't know why fantasy is so much more adaptable.
I remember this box.
Well, to my knowledge, what happened was
character sheet. Huh.
One of the owners of TSR was like the granddaughter or like an heiress to the Buck Rogers license, and so they try to pivot into that.
Oh, interesting.
I was going to say, because they did have a sci-fi module that they just released for 5e back in 2nd edition, and that was called Spelljammer, and that was where that was sort of taking place. You go on a planet in space too.
Yeah, that's.
I remember this box. I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know the difference of Star Frontiers. Which ones go with what? This says character record sheets, but I remember the box because I remember that girl right there.
Yep.
I was a child. What do you want me to say? I was like, yeah. Oh, hey, what's that?
Yeah, just look at the date.
84. It says. So that sounds about right. The glorious years. The glorious.
Yeah, it seems that fantasy somehow became. I'm posing this as like an open question, as a rhetorical statement. Basically, fantasy seems to gather more imagination than science fiction does. I find that deeply ironic, but it seems to be true that it's much easier to write a sword and sandal or magic wand and dragon story than it is to write a hardcore science fiction novel. I just don't understand why that would be. Go ahead, take it, man.
Yep. It could be maybe the resources. I mean, we did have, modern media, Conan the Barbarian when Arnold Schwarzenegger did it. We also had, history, a lot of major history. And, I'm still trying to study that myself because I'm wondering why fantasy is so easier to write than science fiction. But then again, you got to take it from the back of, maybe it's because we never experienced anything really science fiction-y as what we would view science fiction versus fantasy. I mean, a lot of my inspiration, even recently, for some modules that I write, because I've got games coming up that I'm going to host on my channel, and one of my films that I love to watch is with Nicolas Cage and Ron Perlman in Season of the Witch. There's a lot of potential there for a deeper story than what there was posted in that movie, and that movie was good to me. I did like that. And I actually did post a lot of on my Tubi, my list. I have a lot of 1970s, 1980s old films that such as Fire and Ice. I've got a couple barbarian movies. I cannot remember all their names because I just posted like 10 of them last night in like an hour while I was trying to find another movie. I'm like, oh, this looks interesting, and I just kept going. And
Tubi is so great.
Oh, I love it. that's my hypothesis. I don't actually have. I mean, because I've actually decided to like look into why is that we get science fiction is not easy to write, but fantasy kind of like rolls right off your hand. When people want to write about orcs or castles and dragons, that is so much easier. Even I find it easier, and I'm not sure why.
I would say that one of the things that's interesting about science fiction was like the George Lucas story of like creating Star Wars. Like just you're kind of going otherworldly. You're trying to create maybe some different kind of tech. You're trying to create something that would be advanced beyond our current sci-fi or something different. Whereas with fantasy, it seems like I can, look at, let's say an orc, we can have a modification of an orc or something orc-ish. We could have a dragon or something kind of like a dragon. We can have different elements. It seems like it's almost like an easier step to work within the fantasy realm, whereas sci-fi, it's like it just quickly could just not be believable, or it could easily be dated, or it just I have to be honest, it seems like it would just take a lot more work to world build before you even got the story, before you got the mythos, just the story build. It just seems like you have a lot more to work with.
Well, and it's not only that, it's you traveling from many different worlds to worlds, where in fantasy, if you don't want to do medieval Earth, you can make up your own world, and you only focus on that one aspect, not the fact that you have a crew that needs to take supplies from one planet to another planet. It's like people don't connect with their characters on these worlds because they don't sit on the worlds for very often.
True.
Because the biggest trope of science fiction is traveling through space.
It would be interesting to see. Has there ever been a movie where you see the worlds collide? Like it's going to be rooted in our world, but with fantasy. So we actually have dragons and orcs and whatever, but we somehow also got like space tech. So now the story is about dragon hunters who catch dragons in this planet to go to this planet and sell them, but they're being attacked by this race of orcs, or we see elements of that in things like Orville and things like that, but.
There was an animated series back in the day around the same time as Space Ghost and Gloop and Gleep and
Herculoids.
Yeah. Around that same time, there was a barbarian story that took place in a post-apocalyptic Earth, and they openly said in the opening that this was a world after technology had destroyed the world, and only the wizards controlled that technology, and the rest of the world was barbaric. But they still had, some guys had laser rifles, there was some shields and stuff like that, but it was mostly these castles, these degraded castles that were
Thundar?
leftover techno. That might be it. Yeah, Thundar the Barbarian. Yep. Yeah. That's the one.
I couldn't remember.
But to answer you, Tabletop, I think you're onto something there, and I'm going to offer up an extremely deep possibility as to why that might be true about fantasy. It may actually give psychological credence, or at least mnemonic credence, to the idea that we lived in a fantasy realm that was filled with magic and mystical creatures. We currently call those dinosaurs, leviathans, whales, and other species that we now know, like pandas, were considered to be mystical at some point in the past.
Yes.
But there was a quote unquote high tech world that collapsed. And this is what all the ancient world people talk about all the time, that, the star forts and the global canals and the ley lines of the world and the navels of all the ancient sites. And that we did live in a world like Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
That the majority of the people, us, the ones that actually inherited the earth, were surrounded by things that they just didn't comprehend. They were guys working in isolation that had figured out how to do steel, and they called those magical swords because nothing could stop them from cutting through your armor. But it was basically just Spanish steel before we knew what Spanish steel was. So it was science fiction for its day, but we now looking back on it call it fantasy or magic.
I really do feel as an
Here's
entire
future
race
Thundar.
of Earth people that that's what I'm going to call us. That we fully when we don't understand something, we any type of technology, like you said, Spanish steel. Before we knew what Spanish steel was, it was considered magic because it was a type of metal that was beyond our level of understanding, and that's why we get the disconnect. I feel that's why we get the disconnect from science fiction, because we really don't know what science fiction is, because every time we grow that we grow on our planet and we come up with a new technology, and I was just having this conversation 2 days ago with my girlfriend that the cell phones today were when we were kids, when her and I was kids, and when you guys were probably younger, this was theoretical. This was not even possible tech. Now it's in the palm of our hands.
Yep.
And that was science fiction to you guys. That was science fiction when I was a kid. Now it's reality.
Back in the day, my friends and I had started the speculative conversation and said, wow, the way this technology is going, everyone, now mind you, this is 1995, 1996, America Online was just starting to happen. Chat rooms were just becoming a thing, right? Multiple identities, talking to multiple identities, falsified identities, all of that jazz was going on. And my friend and I, who were really into science fiction and grew up on Star Wars and Star Trek, we were just like, wow, in the near future, everybody's going to be able to have their own TV channel. And now here we are.
On YouTube under what was once a theoretical theory, and now it's reality. So that is where I feel the disconnect comes from, where we connect with fantasy because we've been there. We have science. It's a full understanding. And you know what? People, even I have said multiple times, I would have loved to at least, if not live in those times, at least time travel to those times just to see how they were. Because I love going to museums and seeing what once lived.
We'd be
dead. That is more fascinating. Minutes. What? Yeah, we all would be.
We'd be dead in 10 minutes. If you could even get the proper dress so they wouldn't kill you in 10 minutes, it'd be like there'd be some sort of disease or something that you're unaware of that you're not immune to, or something that would just kill us.
Yeah, that's probably what would kill us first.
Yes, there'd be some sort of exposure to some polio or something that we're not immune to. Be like,
remember,
we're dead.
there was a time too that maybe how we speak certain words, herbal medicine has come a long way. Because remember, herbal medicine was once considered witchcraft.
Sure. No.
It was considered magical because not everyone understood how the plant worked.
Right. And to go full circle, part of the science fiction challenge, because I know when I was doing some research on a project one time, one of the things that it was like very difficult to get my head around was stuff we have now the government's had for years. Right. So, when we finally understand the stealth bomber, you start to go, well, how many UFO sightings was them testing the stealth bomber? Because it's been in development for years. So it's like, it become difficult and challenging to write and come up with a new idea. I mean, I remember being mocked. I mean, I'm talking about, I took heat, man, in like 2000, late Bush administration. So 2005, 2008 over, they can hack into your phone, hack into your computer, turn the camera on. They can see you. They can do whatever. Then when it's in a Bourne Identity movie where they're hacking in from the car downstairs into the laptop that's in the room, it's cool. And I'm like, wait a minute, just a few years ago, you guys were calling me like a crazy conspiracy theory guy that this stuff existed. Now you're like, you think it's cool, it's in a movie. And I'm like, it just shows it's hard to conceive something that's believable that you can pull off with sci-fi tech compared to fantasy is so much more. I think you said it. It's grounded. It seems real and tangible. Like we can all imagine like Walking Dead going bad. Like you can believe civilization going backwards. It's hard for us to fantasize about like what will be next.
Let me expand on that. Let me expand on that for just a moment, Pops, because look, there was something that I was fascinated with last night. Last night I was with a friend, and we were seeing in the 1930s how they were moving a building, and I said, I said, yeah, we don't do that now. We just demolish them because we're so concerned about money and currency than what we were in the 30s. And I said, just this basic thing is so fascinating to me of how they would do it because we don't do it now. We want to see what we can't see because we no longer do it. We no longer design it, and we may not even have the capability of designing it because we don't have the knowledge, know-how. Like, a normal blacksmith today probably didn't know what a blacksmith back in the day did because the technique was changed and altered over the centuries.
Oh, we use the example, right? There's so many computer chips in your car that if an EMP goes off, there's only going to be a handful of cars that will operate that, predate the massive amounts of computer tech.
And somebody believes I should be in a home for that because I made a comment of, if something goes wrong, nothing's going to function. We are not going to know how to function in a situation without the technology.
Episode
and people are like, oh, well, there's
4
no
or
going
5
to
of
be
Jericho, the Jericho TV show, episode 4 or 5 when the EMP goes off. I'm like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Here's the bizarre thing is that I'm re-listening to the Harry Potter series. I think I've given it a couple of years to kind of sink in, and a lot of stuff has happened since then. I find it deeply ironic that some of the stuff we're experiencing in real time today politically is exactly what was going on in the Potterverse in real time in the books. So, with the government changing and the oppression of the people under the magical realm and all of that jazz, that's actually going on in real time. The restriction of language, the restriction of magic. You don't need to defend yourself. The ugly person is the good-looking person. The pretty people are the bad people. All of that jazz is going on. So it's really, really bizarre. But in the magical realm, you can get away with pulling a thread of memory out of the side of your head with a wand and placing it in a bowl of water, so that you could access that human memory in the future. That magical tech is totally acceptable. It's palatable to the audience. They're right on board that like, oh, okay, that's a possibility because it's magic. Meanwhile, you develop a system like that in Star Trek and all of a sudden it's not believable anymore. And I don't understand why that disconnects like that. I love going through magical systems.
It's gotta be the road. It's gotta be the road. There is hard, right? It's easy for me to fathom magic. They could pull a brain, like pull a memory out, put it in a bowl. Like, all right, fair enough. Okay, it's magic. I got it. But okay, now there's tech that this tech does X, and it's like, maybe my brain just can't compute enough of the path to get there. Like, think about like this is why some of the sci-fi that we've pulled off well. Like we look at. 2001, we look at the original Alien film, we have like artificial intelligence, androids, humanoids, Terminator with like a cyborg. Like somehow they pull it off in a manner that our brains accept it. Whereas other things, it's like it just like they came out too soon for their time. You know what I mean? I got to be honest, these are the jokes, right? We grew up on the Jetsons. We were joking about flying cars and stuff most of our lives. So
for me, it was the language. It was how they spoke that I think I get the disc. Like I'm a big Trek fan, and I think the reason why I have a hard time with science fiction.
Let me put a pin in that real quick. Tabletop. Let's just say goodnight to Ironcaster, my friend. He's got to get a little. And it's getting late for me too, bro. I won't be on here much longer either. But no, listen. Hey, man, we've had a busy day, Ironcaster. We're rocking and rolling, man. Doing this YouTube nonsense.
A lot of streams. There's always one more stream to do.
There's always a few more minutes. There's always
that was my Saturday to Sunday. I think I was in one chat or another and on a couple of streams for like about 19 hours straight. It was just
gosh, wow. Yeah.
I did 2 15-minute videos today prior to this one.
Hey, that's a start.
Well, I'm getting back into it. Now
you gotta catch up with like Tim Pool or the Quartering, who put out like 10 a day.
Yes.
I don't know if I can do that. I got a life.
It can be done. It's a lot of work, though. It's a lot of work. Listen, Ironcaster, my friend, get some rest. Rest up and be strong. And I'll talk to you soon.
Yep. See you in the chat, guys.
See you. All right, Tabletop. I'm so sorry, but I want to be fair to
no. Ironcaster is a buddy of mine. Actually, I don't know if anyone's been aware, but Ironcaster and I got into tabletop gaming together on the same when I got into D&D, he did too on the same day. So
Gap's saying goodnight too, so we'll say goodnight to Gap too if he's bailing out. So.
Good night, Gap. So one of the things I was saying, I said my disconnect was the language of how the Star Trek people talk, because they're so much more evolved. I mean, that's also because they also went through World War III. They also went through traumatic expense. They went through expensive drug use. Because if you remember the Star Trek universe that they mentioned in the Next Generation, when Q showed up, he was a soldier from World War III that nearly wiped out 90% of the entire world.
Right.
So they learned from that, and then they created
Sure.
technology from that. But it's like still, it's how they talk. Like I don't know, they got this stature that they're higher above everyone else, but they're more evolved. And you know what? They don't even have use for money. There's no currency. So for us, currency is more something connectable because we use currency today. So that's
But these are all these principles that were birthed out of Roddenberry's utopian dreams of like this is this utopian dream of the sort of currency being irrelevant, reputation matters more. The language is brought back because let's face it, the language. Just pick up something that our grandparents had for textbooks, and you're like, wow, we were freaking morons. The amount of language that they used, the grammar that they used, the vocabulary that they used. It's like it just keeps getting moral idiocracy is what we keep moving towards, not towards like the elitism that I think you're trying to talk to about what Star Trek was trying to accomplish. So. Yeah, it's really fascinating, though. I guess it depends on how you want to world build, but it would have to be a constant challenge too. And I will tell you, it's such a long process to write a book that it's almost like by the time you get done, you've got things you have to tweak that you started with. It's like it's really hard.
Yeah.
It's a process.
I took creative writing when I was in college, and then I took many other additional writing classes because writing seemed to be the only thing that I was good at in high school. Which was weird. Like even like when I took the exam to get my placement exams, the one problem that everyone had, even up until my college times, is how is your writing excelling beyond your reading? My writing was always top notch, and they're like, "Do you even understand what you're reading?" And I said, "Sometimes I have an issue sometimes when I read," and that's been there my whole life. And they said, "But you can write better. You know what you're writing." Which is what you're reading, which didn't make any sense. So nobody ever, I even saw a psychologist on it. Nobody could figure it out because usually the reading is you have to have a good level of reading to have a decent level of writing. But I was the exact opposite. They never figured out how that happened, even to this day. So yeah.
Awesome.
I like writing. I love writing books. I can sit down for hours and write a book. I actually just wrote a 30-page book so far, and I'm not done. That was just the first chapter.
Awesome. What's going on, man? If you're here and we're seeing you. You keep popping up. So I see lovely Sherry as well.
Hey, Sherry.
And chats are disappearing. Huh. That's weird. Yeah, I actually see things popping up a little bit, but then they're not showing up in the stream. Anyway, it's really weird. But yeah. Hey, lovely Sherry. How you doing?
So tabletop, here's my stab at it. And before I finish, I definitely want to recommend a story prop IP to you as well. But I have a similar disconnect. I can draw better than I can write, but not necessarily to parallel it directly. We hold interest in some things, and sometimes I think we create better when we're driven by our own ambition, and that there may be some sort of partial disconnect on your end to read other people's material, as opposed to having your own ideas, or your own ideas are constantly churning around while you're reading somebody else's material. So you're gathering the technique, but you're not absorbing their story. You're too busy creating your own. I do that a lot of times when I'm listening to audiobooks. I'll be listening to them and comparing it to other audiobooks while I'm listening. So I'm not really getting absorbed by their story. I'm basically using it as a reflection to speculate on my full body of knowledge. Like, how does this fit into the greater universe of magic stories, science fiction stories, whatever, that sort of thing. So, but with that as a segue, I highly recommend, and I recommend this all over the place, Dr. E.E. Smith. wrote a series called The Lensman Chronicles, starting in 1925, finished it up in 1951, and in 1948, he basically compiled it into a single 4-book, 5-book, 6-book universe.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, in my personal opinion, and I've been listening to it on loop for the last 7 years now, it is the grandfather of the Stargate SG-1 universe, the grandfather of the Jedi forces, the grandfather of the Green Lantern Corps. It's the grandfather of Starfleet Federation. It's the grandfather of warp travel.
What's it called again? I'm sorry.
It's called the Lensman Chronicles, or the Lensman series by Dr. E.E. Smith. And
Lensman, yep.
it basically describes a universe where all of the police officers are given a piece of alien technology that allows them to use their mind as a telepath and a telekinetist as well.
Okay.
They were looking through walls with their mind long before heat vision became a sci-fi tech.
Oh, wow.
They were driving around in fully automated power armor suits long before Halo, Gundam, any of the giant robot shows, or anything like that. They were developing new forms of higher speed technologies by basically turning the entire spacecraft into a zero kinetic bubble, which we now call the warp field. So basically, no matter how heavy the aircraft was, inside of its free drive, as they called it, it would be as light as a balloon. So all they had to do was turn on the jets, and the thing would move as if it was weightless.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this reminds me of but this was 40 years later after E. Smith wrote these stories. Ringworld by I cannot remember his name. Hang on a second. Ringworld.
Pratchett.
Larry Niven.
There you go.
Yep. I've actually been reading some of those books too, and it's like, they had space travel before they even knew what space travel was even established. But they, I believe Halo was totally inspired from that, because they talked about how there was a ring world that was actually shaped like a ring, but it was sort of artificially created by some engineers, and it was given the exact environment for other species to live on. And I'm just like, oh, that's just Halo.
Yeah,
So it's like,
exactly.
You'd be surprised all the work that is being reused in today's time is actually from something in the anywhere from the 1880s, I would say, onto the 1970s. An old book that was older than even me.
Right.
And the reason for that is
the original design of Superman is not only the Spartan warrior, but he's also John Carter from Mars. John Carter.
I didn't think about that.
John Carter is definitely a predecessor to a lot of this stuff.
He went to Mars, and because Mars was a smaller planet, he was superhuman.
Oh,
he could not be harmed because of the way radiation worked. He could jump. He had super strength because his muscles were developed on Earth. And there was a lighter gravity, like the way we jump around on the moon. So, everything comes from somewhere. And the respect of that, it's been horribly cannibalized, of course. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Awesome One.
Yep.
The reason why I bring up E.E. Smith's books is because he does Star Trek without it becoming pretentious.
That's true. Oh, yeah, that's good. Good to hear.
They make no bones about the idea that there are villains in the world, but as long as they're not greatly harming civilization, they will only police them. They made no bones about the idea that bad people needed to be killed, criminals needed to be tracked down, and that depending upon the scale of the villain and the destruction to civilization, they would be tracked down with the voice of the Klingon Empire. That they would just like, no, this is no longer a discussion. We're going to destroy your entire solar system if we have to. to get rid of you guys. It's like, we're done. We're done talking to you guys. So, I mean, there's literally a combat sequence that the hero of the story uses one of the bad guys as a body shield and allows him to be riddled with bullets to protect himself. So when Total Recall does it in 1982, 3, 4, 5, whatever it was, I was like, that's right out of the pages of E.E. Smith's books.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, there's that level of combat. He does hand-to-hand combat where he smashes people's skulls.
It's really fascinating to see how much of this stuff. I mean, again, I know, like you already said all this, right? It's like everything is based on some other idea. There's just not new ideas. I think that's just, I forget who it was who so brilliantly put it back when it first came out. But this is why Raiders of the Lost Ark was such a big deal, because it was like the fallible hero story arc was done in a way that was nuanced, and it was like, well, that's a new idea. Like, we just don't really usually get new ideas. Everything else usually kind of boils down to 4 or 5 stories, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, you're tracing back to something that is literally like the grandfather of them all, man. The Lensman stuff. I'm not that familiar with any of this, to be honest. That's good stuff.
There's bits and pieces of that storyline that touch directly to Battlestar Galactica as well.
Solomon, nothing is new under the sun.
And
wow.
Yeah. Well,
let's wrap up there, because I got to go to work here a little bit, get some naps in, and
that's right.
Yeah, it's been cool, man. It's been cool hanging out and
thanks for having me on.
Hey, man, I appreciate all the support. You've been a great supporter of mine and helper at times, doing stuff, having some fun with us, shenanigating. So look at Mike's coming in. I'm sitting here ready to go to bed, Mike. Mike's popping in. You're muted, Mike. There you go. How you doing?
No, actually, I just need to talk to you after the show.
All right, that's cool, man. No problem.
Okay.
So, listen, Tabletop, Stephen Ransom, all of you in chat, love you guys so much. Thanks for all the support and all the help out there. Can't do this without you. Wouldn't want to do this without you. It just means a lot to me, and I really appreciate it so much. So, let me see. What's a good outro? I don't have a lot of stuff loaded. We'll just sort of Eric.
Right? And I'm not playing no